I'd like to start with a story this evening. A couple of months ago, maybe it was a bit longer, maybe 6 months ago, my husband and I went away for a weekend in Melbourne. We had, fabulous time. No kids, it was raining, Melbourne does. We had boots, coats, we were feeling all very cool. And we were wandering around through all the laneways, and it got to about 1 o'clock, and we decided that we're getting hungry. So my husband, who's a bit of a restaurant head, had heard about a new cool restaurant that was pretty close to where we happened to be. And so we thought we'd try and get in for lunch. Thought the chances weren't probably very good. But he called up from his phone, and turns out they did have a spot. And so we kept wandering, being all very fabulous, wandered into the restaurant. We're greeted at the front door by the maitre d', who took us to what, to my unpractised eye, looked like one of the best tables. And we were seated. And then before we had even had a chance to look at the menu, we were given 2 complimentary glasses of champagne. And I'd love to tell you this kind of stuff happens to me all the time, but it really, really doesn't. And so we thought, well, maybe they've got us confused with somebody else, or I don't know. And it turns out that the whole experience was the classic example of the reputation economy working. So we got talking to the waiter, and it turns out that the restaurant that we went to in Melbourne was the sister restaurant of a restaurant that we go to a lot in Brisbane. And that restaurant in Brisbane had quite a lot of information about us. So it knew if we made a reservation, we were unlikely to break it. It knew that we liked good wine. Diana will vouch for that. It also knew that we tipped fairly well and that we liked champagne. So when my husband called from his mobile phone, the algorithms within the restaurant's very clever system flagged us as good customers. And the implication for the wait staff was treat these guys as VIPs, which they did. We felt like rock stars. And again, I wish it would happen again. It was the last time it's ever happened. But
what restaurant was it?
I can't tell you. It's a secret. It's my secret. Because, but the whole experience made me realise that all that data that's around about all of us is available. We've all talked for a lot of time about big data. I think most people know big data is everywhere. The information that is about you and you is up there in the cloud. And what's new is that what's coming to the forefront is big analysis. So companies, not even big companies, but companies like that restaurant, which I'm not telling you about yet, was able to take that data about me, that really quite personal data, and behave differently with me than they would to other people. And that's what I'd like to talk to you about tonight. First, I'd like to give you a little bit of background about what is happening and why it's happening. And then I'd like to, as promised in all the blurb, I'd like to give you some really concrete tools that you can use to improve your online reputation. Has anybody heard of the Framingham heart study? Somebody. It was in Massachusetts. This is going to blow your mind. I love this story. Basically, it was a really longitudinal study. So it went up for 30 years. So as the boffins who love studies give it a lot of credibility. They discovered a lot of things, but the thing that blew my mind, and I think has the biggest ramifications about what we're talking about tonight, is the discovery that they found that if your best friend suddenly becomes obese, you're twice as likely as the average population to also become obese. So that has really big implications for the health industry, and the health industry have actually made big changes based on that. But it also has implications for a couple of other industries. First one is the life insurance industry. If you happen to own a life insurance company, it would be really great information. If you could predict if you could better predict how people are going to behave in the future, you're likely to make more money. So what's happening in the States is that those clever algorithms that I was talking about, the life insurance companies are using those algorithms to amalgamate all your social data, zipping around all your friends, all your social friends, and either knocking you back for your life insurance or giving you life insurance based not on you, not on whether you run every day, not on whether you have green smoothies every morning, but on your friends, because that's statistically more likely to have a bigger impact. The other industry that's making a big impact is the banking industry. Same deal. If you are the 5 people that you spend the most time with are likely to be the average of what your income is. So they're likely to impact how you spend money, what you spend money on. Are you a risk taker? Are you not? So same deal. Banks in the States, and I would argue in Australia, although there's some contention about that, are using those same algorithms, and they're knocking people back for home loans, investment loans, based, again, not on your information, but on this amalgamated data which is affecting your reputation. So in the future, the people who are running and ruling the reputation economy are going to be the benefits of these kind of things. So computer programs, again, using this stuff, will automatically pick your CV out of a pile of thousands. Maybe not so big for you guys if you're small business owners. Banks will automatically approve you the best loans. Hotels will automatically upgrade you. Restaurants will comp you. And customers will come looking for you. So if you're not necessarily looking for a home loan now or life insurance, you might think, well, as a small business owner, maybe that's not such a big deal for me. So I'd like to give you an example of my very first client who, this is not the accidental bit, but so I have to confess, this is my brother. You know, when I first started out, family always stepped forward. So my brother is a carpenter. He moved to Mission Beach with his young family and was having trouble getting work. So he has his own carpentry business, but when you move to a new place, you don't necessarily know people, right? So he was having trouble getting work. So he asked me for help. And this is in the early days of it. And this is what he was looking like online when he asked me for help. Great guy, great carpenter. He built the bulk of my house, really talented man. So we worked together and established what it was he wanted to be, what his reputation wanted to be. And so now if you Google things like best Mission Beach renovations, best Mission Beach carpenter, Mission Beach renovations, or my favorite is Google Matt McPhee, which is his name, you get this kind of thing. So same guy, same skills. He's no more a skilled carpenter now than he used to be. But suddenly, since we started working with him, he has actually had to he's already put on one person, I think he's in the process of putting on a second, and he's actually turning down work. So nothing has changed except for his online reputation. And that's the massive difference that's, in his world. So Michael Furtick, who was kind of one of the early guys in the reputation management space, his quote is really good. So no, a great online reputation isn't suddenly going to make you $1 million, but over the course of your career and your business, it's just a gentle breeze pushing you where that you want to go. The people who are going to win in the reputation economy are going to get all those things. And the people who are not standing up and making the right steps in the reputation economy are not even going to know. To be honest, they're not going to know that they got knocked back on that job because they never heard about it. But if you think of it as just like I actually like to think of it like a little helping elf, just someone helping you along. Everybody needs that help in business, and it's the way of the future. So I promised you some concrete tips. We can talk about it esoterically all night. 3 tips, I promised. So the very first one, sorry, Craig, I'm going to do it. You need to Google yourself. So take a look at yourself. Can I get a show of hands? I don't know, maybe nobody will go with this, but who has Googled their name? Thank you. Thank you. And what's the result? Anybody? So, okay, who has Googled their name and were happy with the results? No, truly she wasn't. I didn't know she was coming until tonight. So who has Googled their name and got nothing? Who has Googled their name and got bad stuff? I'm not going to bring anybody out, I promise. Who has Googled their name and thought, you know what, that is me, but my highlight reel isn't there? Is that most people? Yeah, I'm getting lots of nods. So first step is to Google yourself and figure out where you sit. How's it working for you? You need to know what Google is telling the world about you. Second step, you then need to know how you need to decide how do you want Google to talk to you about the world, because Google will, whether you like it or not. Google, are you doing it? I love that. Whether you like it or not, Google is telling the world about you. You need to take control as to what it is it's telling you. So you need to have a think about what your general image is going to be, your keywords. So maybe a lot of people in this room, it might be best accountants in Brisbane. Do you guys own that? What happens if you Google that? Or maybe it's best carpenter or best whatever, or maybe it's just focusing on your name because you're interested in doing joint venture deals with different people and you know that people are Googling people. So that's step 2. Step 3 is you need to learn how to use the tools. The happy news about Google is that it's actually not wizardry. Google is a computer. Well, actually, I don't know what Google is. What is Google? It's an algorithm, but it's scientific. There's nothing magic in it. And there's a whole bunch of tools that you can be using and you can be using correctly that will help boost your reputation. So the first one is fix up your security. Facebook is the obvious leaking tap, if you like. When you go home, go into your Facebook page and check that your security setting is showing that only friends can see your posts. Because otherwise, the whole world, if they look for you and they know what to look for, can see what you did last Friday, and that's probably not a good look. So LinkedIn, it might be, I don't know. LinkedIn, I've spoken to a few people earlier this evening about this. A lot of people are really conflicted about LinkedIn. Maybe it's scary. You know, I think people are scared of misstepping in LinkedIn. Say whatever you like about LinkedIn, but it has a lot of SEO value. Anytime you Google anybody, LinkedIn will come up. The LinkedIn result will come up, if not third, certainly within the 5 first results. Really important for you to get in. So if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, get one. If you do, go back to step 2 and figure out what keywords you want to be focusing on your LinkedIn. Have you got a great profile? And then start updating it regularly with your highlight reel, because Google does pay attention to LinkedIn. Google Plus, also controversial. Allegedly, Google has spent $500 million making Google. And has it been a failure? Maybe. But Google's power is in its search engine, and Google is throwing all its power behind Google Plus because they're not prepared to walk away from it. So I can tell you from first-hand experience, get yourself a Google Plus account. Same deal. Go back and look at your keywords, look what you want to be known for, look what you want your profile to be. Get it into Google Plus and start updating regularly on both Google Plus and LinkedIn. You need to be consistent. Diana knows this. It isn't our success with Diana, who, again, like my brother, was fabulous anyway, but the world just needed to know about her fabulousness. So you need to be consistent, and you need to be real, and you need to be patient. It's going to take you some time. Number 6 is an error, and I said this to Amy earlier. I could have fixed it earlier this evening, but the be real thing is maybe the best lesson that I've got in here. The world has changed. We don't need to be perfect anymore. We need to be real people. Yes, we want Google to be telling us to be putting on our highlight reel, but sometimes there's some things in our real world that impact. If you happen to be a triathlete, put it on there because it's really important. If you made a mistake, put it on there. It's about being a real human being. A good example of not being real is, I don't know if any of you noticed, but my profile pic, it's airbrushed. And it was an accidental. When I got my profile pics happening, they did it for free, and I hated it. I've got these white, scary teeth and the whole bit. And accidentally, I sent it to you guys. It doesn't look anything like me. Let's not pretend that I have white, scary teeth. So the whole point is you need to be real, be honest, and be you. So I know I promised 3 tips. I've got 57 seconds left, so I'm going to give you 2 more. I always actually wanted to do 5. But it sounded better. So first one, buy your own domains. How many people have the domain names in their own name? .com and .au? There's a really great SEO value in having your own name. Even if you never use it, it's a really powerful way of, Google love it. It's a really powerful way of getting your profile boosted. The other good thing about having your own name is that it means that nobody else can have it. So it means if there's any dramas, nobody can ever really pretend to be you. The days where there was a time when there was a domain gold rush, those days are gone. But it doesn't, that was sort of an inflated value. Now, just plain domains are really valuable, and they're going to get even more valuable. The other bonus tip I would give you, which is not up there, is that get the domain name of your kids, both .com.au. In 20 years' time, who knows, for $10 a year, it could be the best investment you ever make. The final bonus tip I'm going to make is, I'm not kidding you, I didn't know what Amy was speaking about, outsource the heavy lifting. There's work involved in, I'm not kidding you, I know it sounds bad. There is a lot of work in getting your reputation, your online reputation nailed. Outsource it to somebody who can help you, who can do it better. Outsource it to the experts. Last thing I'd like to leave you with is I put a whole bunch of free information up on this page. I don't know if you want to take a photo of it or remember it. If you'd like to sign up for it, it's a 3 crash course in online reputation management. Totally free. It'll basically tell you what I've just told you about this evening, but in more depth. There's some downloadable things where you learn how to do your keywords, how all that works. So I really urge you to do that. Can we maybe send that out as well in subsequent stuff?
The slides will be available on the website.
Okay.
So anyone who wants to have a look at the slides, that slide will be on.
Okay. So thank you very much. Really enjoyed speaking with you. I'm available afterwards, so any other questions, feel free to give me a yell. Thanks.